Yo Noid was released in November of 1990 for the NES. The game is a reskin of a Japanese game called Kamen no Ninja Hanamaru, or Mass Ninja Hanamaru. The game is a reskin that replaces the ninja theme with a theme based around the Domino's mascot for the late 80s called the Noid. The game was published by Capcom and developed by Now Production. This was one of the first games I ever owned. The game has you attempting to save the city of New York as the Noid from an evil green clone of the Noid. Now you may be wondering what a Noid actually is. He was a claymation mascot for Domino's advertising campaign in the mid to late 80s. The Noid represented the challenges of delivering a pizza within 30 minutes or less. The most common slogan for the character was, "Avoid the Noid." The game is incredibly hard, and over the 23 years I've owned it, I've never even seen the final boss. Even using Game Genie, I've never been able to beat this game. The gameplay is pretty much a basic side-scroller, and you have a jump and an attack, as well as some special abilities. Your basic attack is done through hitting people with a yo-yo. The special abilities are obtained by hitting large scrolls with your yo-yo, opening them up. If you don't hit the large scroll, it'll refill your magic bar, which is consumed when you use a special ability. Both special abilities clear the screen of enemies, however one consumes more magic than the other. Yo Noid features a really cool mode at the end of each level where you're placed into a pizza eating contest. The goal of this mode is to reach a certain number of slices of pizza before your opponent reaches his number. In the earlier levels it takes a lot less for you to win, but as you progress it gets more and more difficult. Hidden in the levels there are several modifiers like hot sauce, pepper, and multipliers for this mode that'll help you win. Level 3 is a skateboarding level that's really hard. You can't use your yo-yo in this level, and instead you kill enemies by jumping them or by building up enough momentum to flash and then hitting them. It's incredibly hard to judge if you're hitting an enemy or not, though, because there's only certain parts of the bottom of your skateboard that can kill enemies. If you can, always try hitting enemies with the back wheels of your skateboard instead of the front wheels, as the front wheels will usually end up getting you killed. The game's high difficulty comes from cheap enemy placement combined with one-hit deaths. Way too often you'll find yourself jumping on a platform only to have a fish come flying at you. This forces heavy memorization of the levels in this game, but with only 3 lives it's incredibly difficult. Despite showing the Noid rising a crazy-looking pogo stick called the Pizza Crusher on the cover of this game, it's only found in the 4th level. It's a lot of fun to ride the Pizza Crusher. It handles sort of like Scrooge McDuck's pogo ability in DuckTales. Unfortunately, as far as I can tell, it doesn't show its face again for the rest of the game. Graphically, this game is so-so. Even though it has the Capcom logo on it, it doesn't live up to Capcom's usual quality on the NES. The game is a mid-run NES title, and that's exactly what it looks like. The soundtrack is somewhat lacking. Many of the tunes are repeated throughout several levels, so each level doesn't have its own music. The music isn't really bad, but it's definitely nothing to get excited about. I do enjoy the music during the pizza eating contest at the end of each level, though. According to PriceCharting.com, Yo Noid is worth a little over $6. That price seems a little steep, but it is reasonable. I paid $50 for a brand new copy in the 90s, so when you consider it's only $6 now, that's kind of a steal. Overall, Yo Noid is only a mediocre game that has more interesting history than it does gameplay itself. The game is a little overly difficult and cheap, however it is playable, and it could be fun if you weren't only playing the first 3 levels most of the time when you play it. I think this game is worth trying, however, I wouldn't go out of my way to play it.